welcome to the new OV Athletics Streamcast. I'll be your host, Jeff Stevens, and I have co-owner Tom Sokovic with me.
Pleasure.
I'd like to start out just introducing ourselves, why we bought the website, and some of our plans that we have in the future. So kind of to start is Tom gave me a call about a month and a half ago and said, "Do you want to spend some money?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll spend some money." And he mentioned OV Athletics. He knew that I was a member for years and frequented the website and asked me if I wanted to come on board, saw that it was for sale, and we went from there. He thought that, as a partner, he couldn't think of anybody else. So, Tom, do you want to say, how you found it?
Yeah, I was on Facebook. I was just cruising Facebook one day, just like everybody else does, and I came across a post where OV Athletics was for sale, and as soon as I saw that, I thought of Jeff because I've been a member for a while. Jeff has been a pretty good follower for a long period of time, and I instantly thought of him doing that. A little bit about our background is we coached together for about 7 seasons, and we've both coached for a long, long time. I have about 28 seasons under my belt. I think he's about 30 or so.
Yeah.
And we've been around kids. We've been around sports, High Valley sports, for a very, very long time. And we always try to help the kids that play for us. And one of the things that I thought as soon as I saw that OV Athletics was up for sale is when you coach a team, you help the kids that are on your team. And I coach 2 different teams right now. I'm a football coach and a lacrosse coach. And I immediately thought, I'm just helping those kids. If we would buy OV Athletics, now we can help out kids across the entire Ohio Valley. So our touch, our reach got considerably amount further when we decided to go ahead with this. And we've talked to Brian a few times prior to the purchase, and everything just made sense. And like I said, as soon as I saw it, I thought of Jeff because I know how much he followed OV Athletics in the past. So, I mean, yeah.
And, to follow up what Tom said, he didn't have to sell me too hard, but he was selling me a little bit on it. And when he mentioned, just imagine how many kids that you could help, not just the teams you coach, but all the kids of the Ohio Valley, and what you could do for them, whether it be more media attention, or even scholarships, and what we could do for not just the kids that we coach, but kids throughout the valley. I was on board. It didn't take us long. And then
I think it took him 2 hours. I think he had to think about it for about 2 hours, and then he got back to me and was like, I'm in.
And so from there, it went from an interview with Brian to make sure that we were the right fit. And I think one of his biggest concerns was a partnership, a business partnership. And, Tom chimed in and just said, we coached together for 7 years and didn't have a disagreement. I don't think that happens when you coach together. And I couldn't think of a better business partner than Tom. I've just seen what somebody came up to me and they mentioned that you've got a great partner. Whatever he touches turns to gold. And I said, well, I've got higher expectations. I said, I want to turn to platinum. So a little pressure on him in both of us. Just want to hit the ground running. And with this Streamcast, I think it's going to be great for what we plan on doing in the future. So some of our future plans, other than this Streamcast and the podcast, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, is scholarships. And that's going to be done through our sponsorships, for our website. So we are looking for a sponsor for our Streamcast. We're looking for sponsors for commercials during our Streamcast. We're looking for sponsors for our website. If you know anybody or have a business that you'd like advertised through a local website, let us know. Get to us on Facebook or Twitter and let us know what businesses that you would like to see on here.
And we already have a couple sponsors lined up. Charlie Reynolds was our first sponsor, and he's running for House of Delegates in Marshall County. Great guy, great supporter of the community. We're not really going to get into politics or anything too much here. We take money from either side. But we know Charlie. We've known Charlie through the years. And if you go to his Facebook page, you see that he gets checks for literally everybody. He doesn't care who they voted for or anything like that. And as soon as we said we're here to help the kids, he was all on board for that. Another sponsor that we had was Swan Sports Shop out in St. Clairsville. Another guy that we knew before we did this. And we reached out to the people that we knew first, obviously. That makes sense because you have a relationship with those people. And Swan was also on board. He was like, I know what you guys have done in the past for your teams. He said, I'd like to be a part of this. So we do have Charlie Reynolds and we do have Swans. And we have a couple other sponsors lined up. We have to, dot the I's and cross the T's or whatever that you want to say on that. But there's some things in the works. And we have some partners that we're going to do some fundraising with and some charity work as well. And I don't know if we want to get into that now or we can wait a little bit.
We'll wait a little bit, I think, for that. Another thing we'd like to do is go live on location. Right now we're not live on location anywhere. Some of the things that we could do with that, we'd like, audience participation, live questions. Just come up to us, see us, meet us. If you have anything, whether teams covered, sports covered, anything at any of the local High Valley schools that you'd like to come watch and report on, you can, go to our website and see some of our new articles. We were at the St. Clairsville and Belair game this past weekend. We have a great writer that's doing some stuff for the Steelers for us, and we have some great things lined up. If you visit our website or our Facebook page, we're updating games that we're at. We'd like to do a Game Changer of the Week. Tom, I think this was your idea. If you want to expand on that a little bit.
Basically, we want to look at people that had an outstanding performance. And it's like Player of the Week, that type of thing. And we just want to do a little article on each person and then give the public a chance to vote on who they think Game Changer of the Week was. So that's one of the things we have coming down the pike as well. And to touch base a little bit about streaming on location, I remember years ago, I'd stay up real late at night and watch that best damn sports show ever that was on Fox, I believe it was.
Yes.
And I used to just absolutely love that show. And they had that live studio audience. And I think we want to model after something like that. So we do want some audience participation. I think it adds something to it. And that way you can see instant reaction. You don't have to wait for comments down below, which I'm sure we're going to get a ton of, positive and negative, just how, YouTube and everything else is. Take it easy on us. We're just getting going. We will get better at this. But that instant feedback, are we talking about something right? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe when we watched the game, we didn't see what we thought we saw. Maybe we seen it right. And then we know that, we're our positive reinforcement. People are saying, yeah, you guys are on it. So, it helps us, reflect as we're doing things and make sure that we can, change plans or, maybe even change our opinion sometimes at all. That's one thing about being a coach. You always get second guessed in the stands. Well, you don't realize as a coach, you even second guess yourself on the sideline. I don't even agree with everything I've called through the years. And as soon as I call it and it doesn't work, I'm like, man, that was a dumb call. But that's what we want audience participation for. And we want your comments. Maybe we can do something a little bit better. So, we'll take it with a grain of salt. So
yeah. And something else we'd like to do with Streamcast is interviews, whether it be with local athletes, our Game Changer of the Week, coaches, administrators, just people of the community that want to come on and talk local sports. And to have you on live and at a location just gives a different feel with the audience there, and some live participation if you want to give questions to the person and just see them there and get to meet them. That's something we'd like to do with our podcast. Another thing we'd like to do is some recaps of some games. And with that, if you would go on to our Facebook page or Twitter and just let us know what games you'd like us to cover, what games you'd like to hear recaps on, maybe a player we don't know about. We're a little football driven right now, but we'd like to get, golf involved and volleyball in the fall, in the winter wrestling and swimming, and not just basketball. We'd like to really expand on the sports that we cover, and not just, be the football base, which is a great base for us. But I think for us, it would be that's a sport that we can start with and get memberships and get people just to come view our site, but really grow off of that into other avenues. And I think with a live audience, you're bringing people in and they can give you ideas, face to face. You can get to talk to somebody, and that's something we'd like to do.
And that's going to be our niche. We're going to try to find the smaller schools, the sports that don't get the press that they need on the mainstream media. because we're doing that, we might not know all the athletes that we should know. And we might have to discover them, and you're going to help us discover those people. And then we'll do a nice profile on them, help get them noticed. And if a college could start singling them out, maybe taking a look at them. We was at the St. Clairsville Bel Air game, like Jeff was saying a little while ago. We were on the sideline talking to a college scout. And we was talking about players that we was noticing at different schools. And he was sitting there taking notes on some of the stuff that we were telling him. So, I mean, we'll use our connections to the best of our ability. And again, going back, we want to help all the kids in the Ohio Valley, just not the ones that we've coached previously. So you have to help us do that. You have to tell us who we need to cover, who's standing out, who's a great kid, who has the grades, who has the behavior, who has all that stuff. So we need your help in that.
Yeah, and to reiterate, I've got Zach Clem coming on, who's helping us with the Streamcast, who's going to be my co-host. We were talking about golf the other day, and he said, yeah, I know this kid, I know this family. And I said, that's great. That's a good contact for us for the golf avenue. I know golfing is huge right now at local schools around. I know they've started middle school teams that we have now, and it's a growing sport that we would like to get some coverage for and some kids recognized. And you never know what's going to happen. You get a kid out there, get their name out there, and maybe there is some scholarship money out there for golf or other avenues that they could have. And Tom, I think now I'd like to introduce Zach Clem, the co-host, and do some game recaps with him.
That works for me.
We appreciate you being on.
It's a pleasure being
and
here.
We'll have you on, of course, again, as being one of the co-owners of OV Athletics.
Jeff will do the heavy lifting on the podcast and Streamcast. I'll be around from time to time, but
yeah,
my focus is other areas.
Sometimes
I'm a little bit more of a techie guy and kind of a sales guy too. So again, since I'm the sales guy, we need sponsors. If you know somebody that wants to sponsor this or whatever, let us know. Hey, you're going to make us successful. So we need your assistance in that.
Yeah, just let us know. Thanks again,
Hey,
Tom.
thank you all.
We're back here with the OVAthletics.com Streamcast for our second segment. We're going to do some game recaps of some local games. We have some soccer and football to go along with us. This is Zach Clem. He's going to be the co-host. He's also was behind the scenes for the first segment, running everything for our Streamcast. So thank you, Zach, for coming on. Thank you for helping us out with the microphones and the video and just everything else that you've done so far, and that we're going to ask you to do that you don't know that you're going to be in for yet.
Oh, absolutely. I'm super pumped to come on board. I bugged Jeff when I saw that Jeff and Tom had purchased OV Athletics. I literally told them, hey, I'm going to come bug them until they get to let me help. So when I heard podcasting and the streaming was part of it, I was definitely on board, and I was like, I'm really willing to help up. I've got the webcams, the microphones, the whole 9 yards. Super willing to help. I'm super pumped to be here. I'm saying super too much, and I realize that now.
But Tom and I talked about, me doing the podcast and the Streamcast and live videos, and we were talking about, he said, maybe you need a co-host. And so I talked to Zach just about the technology base of it, and then it came to, well, I know you mentioned before you wanted to do podcasts. If you weren't a teacher, you would be a podcaster. I said, why don't you come on and be a co-host? He goes, I was waiting for that question, I think, or something to the effect. So I thought, hey, what better time to bring him on right at the beginning? And so let's get started with some OVAC soccer news.
Yeah.
I know Tom was a soccer coach and played soccer. And Zach, I believe you have some soccer background as well.
I played 1 year of soccer while I was waiting to be football eligible at Lindsley. So, I could say, hey, fifth grade soccer, we all know that's some of the best soccer there is that exists, right?
Yeah, so, just recapping the OVAC championships, Wheeling Park had a win over University High School, 3-0. I think the interesting part about this is that University came in with an under 500 record, and beat some pretty good teams to get there, some upset victories. Got into the championship game against Wheeling Park and just couldn't overcome Park's strengths. Park with a 3-0 win and becoming the 5A champions for the OVAC. In our 4A, the Weirton Red Riders beat Beaver Local 3-1 to capture the 4A championship. In the 1-2-3A, it's a combined class in the OVAC. The Lindsley Cadets beat the Trinity Warriors in the 1, 2, and 3A class combined. just some local scores. We'll definitely cover some more soccer. This is just something that I had saw in the OVC championships is something big and something that we'd like to do and we'd like to cover. Zach, anything to add with the
I
OVC?
just think it's really awesome. I mean, obviously we're Ohio Valley Athletics, and we're talking about the OVC, so they're all awesome local teams. But as a Lindsley cadet, I've got as a former Lindsley cadet, I got a soft spot in my heart for the Lindsley Athletics. Anytime I see that anything big happen there, I was really excited to see that. And I know that both the Park and Lindsley programs have been very strong, probably over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, really strong. And, those teams, of course, outside of Lindsley, will be looking to continue their winning streak on to their state playoffs. The first football game we'd like to cover was probably the biggest game of the weekend, Lindsley and Steubenville. Both programs that are traditionally very strong, very well coached. And Lindsley came away with a 28-27 victory. Just some notes and some things that I've saw about the game. Luca Di Lorenzo, a receiver, defensive back for Lindsley, was their leading receiver for the game. But I think the biggest play he made in the game would have been the blocked extra point. So he blocked an extra point on a touchdown that 1 point made a big difference at the end. And if you have a leading receiver and he's out there on special teams blocking extra points, he's putting in that extra effort, Coach.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know Luca's mother. I met her through a mutual friend of mine. We had a tailgate one time where we sort of put a projector up and watched the Lindsley game, and his some of his family members stopped by and were really excited. Luca puts in a ton of hard work. One really cool thing that I loved about the game was it was Coach Depew's 100th win. And what a way to get a 100th win with Lindsley. Them beating Steubenville, probably one of, if not the blue blood program in the Valley. Just always competitive. And I just love that Lindsley's not afraid to play anybody. I mean, that's a huge thing that I love. Like, they'll schedule anybody and they'll play anybody. I mean, I know Steubenville was close last year. I talked to a friend of mine who follows Steubenville religiously, and he said that he thought if they passed a little bit more last year, they might have even had a chance to beat Steubenville last year as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That brings Lindsley to 5-1 on the season, and Steubenville drops to 6-1, still in the playoff hunt. Definitely for Steubenville, looking for that number one rating. We'll do a segment later with the new football rankings that are out for both the West Virginia SSAC and the OHSAA. So stay tuned for that. And also, just a note on Lindsley, they're the Road Warriors this year. I believe they only have one home game this season. So, they're going on the road to play everybody. That's pretty tough to do. Steubenville just couldn't overcome they had 12 penalties for over 100 yards. And that's tough to overcome against any team, but a team like Lindsley that's so well coached, and I think a lot of people in the Valley thought it was an upset. But you being a former Lindsley cadet, right. I don't think they get upsets. They don't consider themselves ever getting an upset.
No. I mean, they always come out and sort of get their mind right. I know Coach Depew has done a really good job. My father-in-law, Coach Jardinez, who used to coach for years at Bishop Donahue, helped them the last couple of years. And he said he was really impressed with Coach Depew and how organized their staff has been and how they've all sort of been moving in the same direction. And I think it's really fantastic for the program in general. And, I mean, they've been getting some pretty decent success. I in particular, am fond of the offensive line play. And I saw a video that was posted of Coach Depew walking his team down to the field that I don't know if it was a Steubenville game or another game, but they had some linemen that were some decent size. And that got me real excited because I'm all about the big guys up front. And that was really exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
That puts the series between Lindsley and Steubenville to 8-1-1. That was Lindsley's actually first victory over Steubenville in the series. But again, Coach, as you mentioned, Lindsley's not afraid to play anybody. They're trying to get 10 teams on the schedule is what their goal is. Last week Lindsley just beat Fort Fry, another great program that Tom and I went and watched when they played Bel Air. And wow, that option offense, unbelievable. Throws you for loops. So I know that was another big win for Lindsley. The field goal at the end won it for them. And their only loss came to Fairmont Senior, who's had a really strong program, in the past, and this year they're really strong again. So Lindsley looking to continue their winning streak, and Steubenville looking to get back in the win column this week. The next game that I'd like to talk about, Wheeling Park over Morgantown, 34-14. One thing I noticed was the Wheeling Park defense which was much maligned, especially the week before in that loss to Steubenville, giving up almost 700 yards. And it's tough. And having seen Wheeling Park play a couple times this year, there was some leaks on the defense. But boy, against Morgantown, they kind of had some fixes there. Between coaching and personnel. Not sure what happened there, but they really fixed the defense this week.
I mean, I know Coach Phillips from my time coaching middle school in Ohio County. I got to know Coach Phillips and a lot of the people on Park's coaching staff fairly well. And I know Coach Phillips does a really good job of sort of bringing everybody in together and breaking down the film and sort of looking at what they can do to correct better. But they're going to do their job and they're going to step up. And I know that their linebackers really stepped up to play this week. And personally, I'm a little fond of their defensive backs because there's a couple students of mine that I used to coach that are stepping up in the defensive backfield. So I think it was really exciting to see Park sort of get themselves back in the column after, like you said, the tough game against Steubenville. And I believe they played a school from Cleveland, I believe, right?
Yeah, they played a school from Cleveland, tied at halftime, and that team from Cleveland just came out and kind of scored a couple quick ones in the second half, and Park just kind of got behind. The passing game for Wheeling Park was really on point. And I know Jeray Hawkins gets a lot of the attention, but if you haven't seen them play, Jamison Maynard and Mikkel Davis and Keon Stevens. Hopefully I get that correct.
Yep, Keon Stevens and Michael both played for me at Wheeling Middle School.
Oh, okay,
so,
yeah.
They're both very good kids. They were both 8th graders on the infamous year where I broke my leg coaching, so that was really fun.
Yeah, and just to watch them, they speed to burn on the outsides and protect the quarterback pretty well. And as long as you protect the quarterback and you have some fast receivers, the game's going to go pretty well for you. Wheeling Park, with the win, goes to 4-2 on the season. Morgantown drops to 3-2, but still looking for that playoff hunt. I know they had a coaching change a couple years ago, and they have a new offense going into Morgantown. And I really think that they're on the rise too.
Absolutely.
And I think they're going to start winning some football games in the future. Another game, a little closer to me at home, would be Cameron beating Weirton Madonna 46-8. Weirton Madonna came in fairly highly ranked, and going out to Cameron and playing out there. If you've never been there, beautiful venue with the turf and
gorgeous field.
The new locker room facilities and everything they have out there. If you get a chance, go out there and watch a football game. You won't be disappointed. Cameron stays undefeated. They go to 6-0. Weirton Madonna drops to 3-2. The weird thing about the game was it was really close in the first half. 14-8. Was the first half score.
Right.
So real tough defensive battle there at the beginning. But Cameron came out in the second half and had back-to-back pick sixes. So they had a pick six. The next offensive play was a pick six. So when you do that, it's hard to overcome, Coach.
Yeah, that's hard to overcome. And I mean, anytime you can get a turnover at all is huge. But anytime you can get points off that turnover very quickly, that's even huge too. And we both know in our coaching time, you can't get behind the sticks, especially, and you can't turn the ball over. When you turn the ball over and immediately score, that's definitely an issue.
So, excuse me. Some Dragons that scored those back-to-back pick sixes. You had Case and Angel, who's a freshman, and you had Wes Starcher on defense. They scored the back-to-back pick sixes. I can remember Case and Angel and his dad. We went to school together, and great athlete. And of course you're a freshman playing some football in high school, getting that pick six, really makes a difference in that game. Jay Ross and Peyton Neely scored on the ground. Cole Burkett had a touchdown run and a touchdown catch. Colson Wicherman had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. So they really spread the ball around out there in Cameron. And I was talking to Coach Myers the other day, and he said, coaching's so tough because you have one kid go out of a game. You have a safety maybe that goes out. Now a linebacker goes to safety. Somebody else goes. You have a corner playing defensive end. Out there. So it just adds a different aspect to coaching. It's not like you have a specific backup at safety or linebacker. And just you've had that experience, I believe, coaching in middle school, not having a lot of numbers, and you make one move and it's not one.
Absolutely,
it moves the whole roster around.
And you see it too. I mean, anywhere you've coached that has smaller numbers. Like I've coached at Wheeling Middle where I had small numbers, and then when I was blessed to be an assistant coach at Bishop Donahue, we didn't have that many players either. And anytime we had somebody injured, we had to shuffle some things around. But just being able to put those pieces in, and I think that really speaks to the strength of any coaching staff that has those smaller numbers and are able to move them around. Seeing Cameron playing well is great. We always used to play them when I coached at Donahue. That was one of our big games. battle of Marshall County, if you will, between Bishop Donahue and Cameron. Cameron Rowland. I mean, I've seen some film of them play this season. I mean, they're playing really, really, really strong football, and they're fun to watch. I mean, like Coach Stevens said, if you have a chance to get out there and see them play, I really recommend checking them out. They're fun. It's a great place to go watch some football.
Yeah, great community too.
Oh, absolutely.
Good concession stand. If you're ever out there, they have a pretty good concession stand. You know, I kind of look out for that. So look for maybe a segment in the future of best concession stands in the Valley.
I was gonna say,
and I don't think Coach Clem will mind going with me to check out some of the stuff at the concession stand.
Well, we got to make sure we find some keto options for you at the
Yeah,
concession stands,
I know. We will. We definitely will. Next, moving on to a big matchup in Ohio. We have the Cambridge Bobcats beat Union Local, the Jets, 35-33.
Close game.
It was a close game, and Cambridge won despite UL's Jackson Price had a huge night. 35 carries, 203 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's now has the school record for touchdowns in a season with 22, rushing yards in a season with 1,472, and he is their career rushing leader at over 3,200 yards. So, you know, when you have a running back like that, you know, I know Cambridge was probably keen on him all game, and to still get 200 yards, a heck of a game.
Absolutely. I mean, and if he's running for that much, he's shown it up on film. They've seen it all. He was probably going up against a loaded box most of the night, too. I mean, if you've got a running back that's that talented, you're going to stack 8 in the box, and you're going to dare him to throw. And if you lose by the run, you tip your cap to him. I mean, you got to give credit to the kid. I mean, he's a heck of an athlete, and being able to run against a loaded box that I'm sure he was facing and still get those kind of numbers, awesome for him to get into the record books. That's one of those things that I'm sure 20 years down the road he'll still be talking about that season.
So you might be wondering, hey, I wasn't at the game. I didn't see it anywhere else. So if a kid runs for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns, how does Cambridge win? Well, you know, Caden Moore just played a little better. Cambridge's quarterback, possibly one of the candidates for our game changer of the week that Tom talked about earlier. You know, he ended up with 305 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And if that's not good enough, Coach, 58 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Goodness
so
gracious.
counted for five touchdowns. That's unreal.
Unbelievable. That kind of performance that'll get you back in a game when you've got such a seasoned rusher. And remember that game changer of the week segment. We can check that out on ovathletics.com. So be sure to hop over there for that content and any other content that we produce on the site as well.
Yeah, I think Tom was talking about having 3 candidates, and I don't know if we can limit it to 3. With some of these performances, 200 yards, 5 touchdowns. Jacob Walker for St. Clairsville scored 4 touchdowns in the game Tom and I was at. If you'd like to know more about that one, you can check out the article on ovathletics.com. There's a great article there on the website.
I mean, here's the real piece of it all is if we're looking at game changers, we're trying to find people to fill in. Right now in the Valley, there is no shortage of players that we can pull from for our game changers. I mean, we've talked about a few games already. I mean, if you guys get a hold of us, let us know, hey, there's games we want to see, there's games we want to be covered, players that you're not talking about. That's what we'd love to do. Neither one of us has any problem digging into those numbers and watching extra film, anything we can get a hold of. But great time for football in the Valley.
It is. You know, playoffs just around the corner in Ohio. In West Virginia, of course, it's coming up too, just 1 week behind. A big game, I think, in the Valley. 2 teams that are kind of rebuilding. You have Martins Ferry and Indian Creek. Martins Ferry came away with a 26-21 victory. And, you know, I've been lucky enough to meet Coach Kropka and saw what he did at John Marshall for the season he was there. You know, at Wheeling University, he did some things. At Harrison Central, I mean, just building that program up. And he talked about, too, a little bit in dealing with injuries, kind of like the Cameron thing. I know that Coach Kropka was out knocking on doors this summer to try to get the kids out to play. I ran into him at a track meet and just talked to him for a little bit. And he said, our numbers are so low. I think they graduated 14 maybe kids last year and only had 12 or 14 left on the roster.
Goodness gracious.
And, you know, I think they're maybe close to 25 kids or more, somewhere around there. So he did a great job, you know, going door to door and getting some kids out. And not only getting kids out, some of these kids probably never played before, and then getting a win over Indian Creek, 26-21. That's never easy.
No. And then speaking of beautiful fields too, I had the opportunity to coach on that field the one year that I coached in the OVAC All-Star game with Bishop Donahue. That field's outstanding too. I don't know if you ever had a chance to be on it, but I mean, it's just outstanding turf field. Great classic high school football field in the Valley. It's really, really great. But But yeah, the awesome Coach Kropka dealing with those injuries. I mean, it's tough. When you're low on those numbers, it is absolutely tough to deal with those injuries. So kudos to Coach Kropka and his coaching staff for dealing with that and still getting the win.
Yeah, and I don't know, as you look at the stats, you didn't really have a game changer of the week, but maybe a team changer of the week. It was just a total team win, I think, for Martins Ferry. You didn't have a guy running for 200 yards or throwing for 300 yards, but offense, defense, special teams, if you put all three of those in the game and just play well as a team, you don't have to have stats that blow off off the charts to get victories, and that's just what you're trying to do. Whether you win by 1 point or 100 points, you're still looking for the victories. So really not one big offensive player, defensive player that really stood out in the game, just a total team effort.
But I mean, I think that in and of itself is what makes football such an interesting sport. Is my grandfather always used to say, I remember sitting in his living room with my dad and my grandfather watching football together, and they're just like, this is the ultimate team sport because literally you could have 50 guys on a roster that only have small stats, but they can still win the game as long as they're marching together. And I think that win with Ferry truly speaks to that. I mean, it's one of those things. You're going to drive forward. You're going to all move forward together. And that's a huge credit to the coaching staff there for getting those kids not being selfish and working towards that goal of getting another win and sort of trying to figure out the rest of the season and where they're going to go from there.
Yeah, that wraps up our weekly segment for some game recaps. If you'd like to see games covered or say, hey, why don't you talk about us? Hey, messages on Facebook, on Twitter. Go to ovathletics.com. Join our message boards. Join the site. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what games you would like to hear about, players you'd like to hear about. And we'll do our best. We'll get out there. We're growing. We got a lot of people like Zach that are willing to help out, and help us out because we can't do this by ourselves. Just to reiterate, we're looking for some sponsors too if you're out there, because our sponsors are going to help us. The more sponsorship we have coming in, we can get more people on staff, we can get more people at games, we can get more kids recognized. So you could advertise here on our podcast, as you can see there in the corner, brought to you by. You can sponsor our podcast. We're going to have commercial segments.
Absolutely.
You can sponsor our commercial segments, sponsor our website, and this money is going to go back to the Valley. It's going to go back to the kids of the Valley to get them exposure. So just follow us, Facebook, Twitter. Look for OV Athletics on there. Go to ovathletics.com. Check out our content. New content's going up almost daily. We have some high school content. We have Steelers content. Just everything's going up. It's coming together. Just check us out. We're coming back with the ovathletics.com Streamcast. We're going to do some rankings in both Ohio and West Virginia. We're going to start with the OHSSA rankings. And we're just going to kind of go over the teams locally that are in the playoff hunt and just see where they stand. First, we have the Dover Tornadoes, ranked 10th in Ohio in Division II, Region 7, with a 4-3 record. They're taking the top 16 teams in Ohio now in each region. Top 4 get a bye, okay. And then the other 8 teams, or the other 12 teams, they battle it out. To see who's going to move on and play those 4 ranked teams in the other games.
So obviously, if they keep winning in that regard, they're going to be road warriors going on the road trying to get a victory to move on to the next round, at least at some point. And I believe, how far into the OHSA playoffs do they go centrally located? Is it just the finals or is it semifinals?
The first round is now home. It wasn't always like that. The first round is now home.
Okay.
And I believe from there... now the first home game for the bye teams would of course be home, so that
right.
game's going to be a home game. Then going from there in the playoffs, it's a regionalized game. They try to get, I believe, as close as to both schools as possible, okay. To a central location and turf. They now require turf for your playoff games in Ohio. I think maybe to equal out the playing field a little bit. And I know if you're going to Dover, Coach Ift is going to have those kids ready. That they play a tough schedule every year. With a 4-3 record, I don't think that's indicative of how good of a team they are.
Right.
They did play Steubenville, and I got to watch that game on TV. Great game, and Dover always plays tough every game. Next, New Philadelphia. Is in our area. We want to do Ohio Valley teams. In New Philadelphia, you always hear about them. The Quakers in the hunt. They're ranked 15th. So they're in there.
Yep.
Right as of right now, they'd be in. That's Division III, Region 9, and they stand with a 4-3 record as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on, we have, of course, Steubenville, the Big Red. When aren't they number one, Zach?
Listen, if you talk to Steubenville fans, it's never.
Okay, yeah. I think that is. And I can't remember a time that I've seen them play that I didn't think, how is this team not always, number one?
I mean, I'm fairly certain that when in Steubenville, when the kids are born, they get Coach Reno's there and he gives them a playbook and he says you'll have your first quiz on Monday, and he's got them ready to go and they're running the same stuff all the time. They're so well coached, always ready into the hunt.
Yeah, and that's why the 12 penalties in that game really surprised me because Steubenville is usually disciplined. They don't miss assignments. Just good football to watch. They're ranked number one after a loss. So what type of schedule are you playing that you lose a game and you're still ranked number one? That's Division 4, Region 15 at 6-1. Coming off a loss.
Yeah, coming off a loss. I mean, that really just speaks to the strength of their schedule. I mean, the fact that obviously, however I think they're ranked win-losses or points for or points against. I'm not exactly sure how the OHSSAA does it. Yeah. But, I mean, obviously Steubenville is always one of those big programs that's always ready to rock and roll. Yeah, right there at number one. Next, St. Clairsville. They're ranked a fifth in the Division 4, Region 15 with a 5-2 record. Tom and I just went to the game against Belair, and St. Clairsville runs the ball really well. And I remarked to Tom, I got to work at St. Clairsville and know a lot of the coaching staff, and it's been the same coaching staff for years and years. We were trying to figure out how long, I was trying to do my math to see how long Brett's been at St. Clairsville. I came up with 15 years, close to. If you could correct me on that, Brett, maybe you could help me out there. But just the way he built a program, and now to have him ranked fifth in Division 4, strong running game, strong defense is what won him that game, against Belair. Ranking fifth, just outside of that bye, which is important, I'm not sure who they have left on their schedule, but I'm knowing St. Clairsville, there's always a chance for them to go on a little bit of a run and maybe move up those rankings a little bit, maybe get that bye, get a little rested up, and get ready for a deep playoff push. Yeah, and they're not afraid to play anybody either. We talk about Lindsley and Steubenville playing everybody. St. Clairsville usually, they won't back down from some bigger schools that they play. Next is Fort Fry, and wow, as I talked about earlier, Fort Fry. We got to watch it at Belair, and I knew they ran that option offense, that triple option offense, and to watch it's just something else. And they're ranked number one, Division 6, Region 23, and they're at 6-1. So, you don't like to look at scores and compare teams based off of scores, but right. Think about this, Zach. You have Steubenville, who loses to Lindsley, in a close game, 1-point game. You have Fort Fry, who loses, to Lindsley on a field goal. And they're, 2 divisions behind right. Steubenville. So I think Fort Fry, they could make some noise there in not just in the region, but in Division 6. Absolutely, and especially with their offense, I think they can really, really confuse some people and sort of get those people frozen up. I mean, me, I love offense. I love offense a lot. So when you get some of those things that can get people moving, you can get people freezing, get them thinking twice. They're not reacting and playing football. They're thinking too much, and that can sort of get them, slow out the blocks. That could be definitely to their advantage. And I think that's what we heard on the sidelines with Belair. They're like, just read your keys, and the kids, were looking at them saying, our eyes are fooling us. Yep. Your eyes fool you in that, and it's just during that offense, you just want to stay at home. Absolutely. And just play your one position. Next, we have another school, Shenandoah. They're ranked third, Division 6. Region 23 at 6-1. If you've ever been to Shenandoah, I've been there before, and they like their football. Oh yeah. I've never had the pleasure of heading my way out Shenandoah way, but at that division, I mean, obviously that's probably the lifeblood of the town. It's probably one of those things that they get ready every time, and they get ready to play, and they come out and support their team. I'm sure. Great place, Zach. We'll take you out there one time. We'll show you a good time in Shenandoah. Sounds like a great time. We have Belair next. They're ranked 8th, Division 6, Region 23. We have a lot of teams there at Division 6 and Region 23. They're at 5-2. I got to see them play a couple times. I went to their scrimmage when they scrimmaged John Marshall. Their passing game. Blair's always been known for their passing game and just tough kids. And that program's really on a little bit of a roll. Did well in the scrimmage. Saw them play. That Fort Fry. That's just a tough team to compete against. When you're coming up against that option right. offense. In St. Clairsville, you look at St. Clairsville, Division 4 again. Belair's playing 2 classes ahead, right.
and still didn't look bad first half. It was a tie game, 7-7, going into the second half, and they played really well. Yeah.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
I wish I had more commentary there.
Yeah, that's okay. I can take care of that. This next one goes out to a friend of mine, Kurt Babachek. We threw Malvern in here for you, Kurt. They're ranked 9, right in the playoff hunt. Again, Division 6, Region 23. They're at 6-1, and I know Kurt still follows those Hornets a little bit. So I wanted to throw it out to him. If you know Kurt, if you're listening, that Malvern, shout outs that's to you. So message Kurt, or Kurt if you're listening. We'll cover the Hornets a little bit when we can.
Absolutely.
Next, we have Caldwell, the Redskins. They're ranked number 2, so right up there, fighting for that bye. Division 7, Region 27. They're at 7-0, undefeated. Yeah,
undefeated's hard to do. I mean, it's one of those things. It is hard to maintain an undefeated season. It's one of those things. It's much more challenging than most people think it is to keep that undefeated schedule and keep those kids rolling and not taking anybody for granted.
Yeah, and just imagine, the coaches I know don't want to look at these rankings a lot, but you look at them. The kids do, the coaches do, and being ranked 2, you're close to that bye,
right?
And that's what you're fighting for. River, they're ranked 3rd, Division 7, Region 27. It's 6-1.
I mean, River's got a great coaching staff. Good friend of mine, Eric James, coaches out there with them. So shout out to Eric. We coached together the one year in the All-Star game when Donahue coached it. Eric came out, was a great addition to our coaching staff. If you've ever met Eric, he's class A individual. I was having problems with my pool this summer, and he texted me and said, "Hey, how can I help?" Little sidebar there, but Eric's a great guy, and River's rolling.
Yeah, they are. And I got to go to the game. River and Barnesville's, game of the week. I get over there, and you know how they all say an overflow crowd?
Oh, yeah.
This was an overfill crowd at River. If you've never been to a game at River, I don't know how many. Can I say this about every school in the Ohio Valley? If you've never been to a game at River, you got to go.
You got to get there.
You got to go. Turf's beautiful. The people are so welcoming and nice.
Absolutely.
Just when you go there, the way the field sits is just neat. Like you kind of walk underneath, not underneath the field, but beside the field, and it's a little above you. The school sits right up against it, so they were kicking extra points, hitting the side of the school building.
Yep.
I was thinking they were going to break a window there.
I remember when they were building that back in the Donahue days, and there was one time where we had our guy that would film the game was out, so they're like, "Hey Zach, we need you to go up and film it." And they were still working on the press box at that point, so I felt like I was almost sitting on a little stand up on top of one of the hillsides there looking down to film. It was a great game, a great experience, but I know their facilities really moved up a little bit since then. It was still kind of under construction at that point.
Yeah.
But the field was in great condition, and it was a lot of fun to play out there.
Yeah, just a great place to go. You go to Hannibal and go watch a high school football game. You'll have a great time. Next is Bridgeport. Region 7, Division 7, Region 27. They sit at 4-3. Freddie Ray's really got those kids playing well. Bridgeport's program took a little bit of a hit, but they've been playing really well lately.
Oh, it's great to see them coming back a little bit. I know that for a while there they were down and out, and I'm a fan of the underdogs, pun intended, when we're talking about Bridgeport.
Yeah.
But them coming back and sort of getting on a roll, it's great. Great to see them ranked 7 in their division.
Yeah, and that baby blue. Who doesn't like that baby blue? Maybe not you, Zach, but I love that baby blue.
I think you either love the baby blue or don't like the baby blue. And I think about the baby blue and think how angry my mother would have been if I would have brought home that baby blue stained in mud, trying to get that clean and send it back on my uniform.
Maybe I don't think about it that way. Again, Bridgeport, a great community to go watch a football game. They've redone their facilities over there. They were looking for a place for a long time. They were playing in St. Clairsville. They were playing at Ferry, and finally got their home field back. And that's great to have your home field back.
That's another one I have great memories of, the visiting press box. At one point, the coach's box for the visiting side was scaffolding with almost like a deck built on it. That was a lot of fun. Myself and the other offensive line coaches at Donahue all sort of looked at each other and were like, "Well, who weighs the least? Because you're the one going up on that."
Zach, did you make it up there?
I did make it up there. I drew, in fact, a short straw. That was, right when I came out of college, I had packed on a little bit of extra baby weight. I have a son. I can say that, right?
Yeah,
I got baby weight.
Yeah, you can say that. You have a baby, so you have baby weight. Yeah, so you have baby weight. And if you're ever looking to get your school some coverage, go to ovathletics.com. Post something about a game. Post something about your school in our message boards. Message us. and say, hey, we're in the rankings. You missed us this week. We're trying to go through and not miss any of these teams in the High Valley, and just mention it. Start a thread. Start a post. Help us out. Cover your school a little bit. And last we have, I'm going to mention them. Zach was thinking about not mentioning, but every time I drive down Route 7, I pass Frontier High School and the Cougars. And I just think about them. They're ranked 11th, so they're in the playoff hunt. Zach,
they're
16's going to make it.
They're in the hunt. I will say I put a question mark on the end there. They are in the hunt. So I mean, we might as well cover them, right?
Yeah, Division 7, Region 27, got a lot of teams there. Now they're 2-5, but ranked 11. You're right there. Some games at the end of their schedule, win a couple, and you make the playoffs. That's special for the kids.
Make a little push. I'd love to see it. I would love for you guys to tell me, take that question mark, get it out of there. Let's prove this.
I don't know why I always love driving by Frontier High School. I don't know. It sits right there on Route 7, and just driving by nice little towns as you go through, right there on Route 7.
I think Route 7 has been under construction since I was in high school. I mean, that's what I think of every time I see Route 7.
Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to go to West Virginia and start with the big schools in AAA. And at the top of the rankings, you have some regulars up there.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of local teams, but we have Spring Valley from down in Huntington, undefeated.
Absolutely.
Martinsburg. 5-1. They're always that's a machine over there.
Oh, they're absolutely relentless. I mean, I was blown away by that. We looked at the rankings here that Martinsburg has scored 287 points and has only allowed 87 points. To score almost 200 more points than you've allowed in 6 games is unbelievable. I mean, astronomical. I would be interested to see what the game breakdown of that is. But
yeah, as we move on, Parkersburg South. Now there's a High Valley team. They're ranked 4th, Zach.
4th.
5-1, and they're rolling a little bit. That offense down there, I mean, they put the points on the board like you won't believe.
Absolutely.
I've got to see some highlights of them. Maybe get to catch a game of South. But right up there, you're going to host. You're the top 8. You're going to host a playoff game.
Yep.
And that's what the first thing you're looking to do. Get in that top 8, host a playoff game, and then move on to the next round. Is what you're looking to do. Yeah. Next, some other schools we have, Bridgeport is right there, ranked 5th. Some other local schools we look at, of course, Wheeling Park, who I've seen a couple times this year. The ranking, I think, is a little bit deceiving. Zach, they're 13th.
Absolutely. I was going to say, when I saw it was 13, I was like, 13? Really? Is that so it was one of those things that I definitely was shocked to see them that low. But, I mean, they've played well. Their 2 losses are against 2 pretty decent teams. So, I mean, I'm sure that's hurting them a little bit, but I'm sure they're going to right the ship with Coach Doc, and they're going to get rolling.
I mean, you look at it. Just watching them play, they're a 13th ranked team.
Right.
With, I think, top 5 talent. But
Absolutely.
a 1 or 2 schedule.
Right.
And something breaks there, but I could see Wheeling Park really making a run towards the end of the season. And that 13, I could see them hosting a playoff game. That 13's not going to stick by Wheeling Park.
No, it's not going to stick there. And I shouldn't really say right the ship, because Wheeling Park always does what Wheeling Park does. Coach Doc and those guys do a great job. Personally, I'm a big fan of their wide receivers coach, even if he's one of the worst fantasy drafters I've ever seen. Coach Glass does a very good job with those wide receivers, does a great job of developing those kids. But yeah, Park will get rolling. There's no doubt in my mind, and they'll have another chance to maybe host a playoff game on the island, I hope, if they start to get rolling.
And heck, you never know. They might get to play that state title game at home.
Oh, it's the best.
That's pretty unique.
Back when they won their state championship, I remember going, and the atmosphere in there was electric. It was practically a home game for a state championship. I mean, that was an absolute blast. And that's one advantage that Wheeling Park has there, at least once they get on a run going.
Yeah. Then tied at 13th, you have University. And the Hawks down there, Coach Kelly does a great job down at University. They sit at 4-2. Another team that I could say, maybe a little better than 13 talent possibly. Their schedule, catches up to them. But they play some pretty good football down there.
Absolutely. The one thing that would be concerning with me to University is when we look at their rankings, they have more points against than they have points for, which is where when you start moving down that line, they're at 174 points for and 180 points against. So they've played a lot of tight games. But the concern would be, is their offense going to be able to sustain down the road when you look at those statistics?
Yeah, definitely. Next, coming up, another High Valley team, you have Morgantown, the Mohicans. They sit at 3-2. They're at 16, so they're just in.
Right.
At 16, you're sitting there. You're right on the fringe. But with the way their running game stacks up and the way they can control the clock now, I could see them getting a couple more wins on the board, and maybe increasing that 16 a little bit. You probably you don't want to go to Spring Valley or Martinsburg in that first round.
No,
that's probably two places you don't really want to go.
That's kind of the no man's land of the AAA in West Virginia, at least in terms of that run. I'm not sure I'd want to go to one of those teams if I was on that coaching staff, but I'm sure they're up for the challenge.
Yeah, and if you do, all you got to do is you got to prepare. And you got to go in with a mindset you're going to win a football game.
Absolutely. Shock the world, if you will.
Yeah, and you can't go in concerning yourself what they do, just what you do.
Yep,
and I think that's the way to do it. Next coming in, another Coach McLean, Mac, has Brook High School at 17th. They sit at 3-2. The program's coming around a little bit. I know from coaching middle school that their middle school programs have done well recently, and those kids are now in high school and starting to turn that thing around a little bit.
Absolutely, I believe they were one of the opening games that was on the local news. I think.
Yeah,
I think one of Brooks' openers was on there.
Yes.
But yeah, they've had some tough roles. I think they've got a tough schedule down the road. So I'm sure they'll have their work cut out for them. But I look forward to see what the rest of the season holds for them.
Yeah, and if you've never been to Brook High School, pretty neat stadium. The way you walk in, you kind of walk down. Just the lighting of the press box there just gives it a nice glow. I don't know how to describe it, but going there on the turf, pretty nice place to play.
I was gonna say they fixed that semi-recently, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a year or two before the COVID years of high school football.
Yeah. Another good place to go watch a high school football game. As you go down further in the rankings, John Marshall is there at 23. They sit at 2-3. I think they have some games on their schedule that they can win. Coach Caesar's going to have them ready to play every week. They're going to ride Clipson a little bit there in the running game, and Caulfield at quarterback. They're going to ride those two and run them a little bit, throw the ball around.
And they have some tough games on their schedule left. They play Wheeling Park still, but as you and I both know, in rivalry games, you throw the records out with the bathwater and you see what's going to happen. And when those rivalry games come up and those kids get fired up for those games, records don't matter. They just don't. They come out, they play a little different, and that's one of those ones that I think will be a great game if you're looking for one to look down the road to head to, viewers.
And hey, even better, Zach. This makes it even better. It's on my birthday.
Oh, it's on your birthday.
It's on my birthday.
Like
that's John Marshall Park on my birthday, and I probably know where I'll be that week. Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday
at the John Marshall Park football game. Not a bad way I think to spend a birthday.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. The Double A rankings. Not a lot of schools locally in double field in the Double A field. We have Weirton. It's 16th, Zach, and that means you're on the inside.
Yep.
But you got to win football games.
Absolutely,
is what you have to do.
Absolutely. We're for a long time had a lot of guys that could really move on the outside. I know they had a couple track athletes that were extremely fast. One of which I had a chance to coach in the All-Star game. Just really, really fast track guys. They had a lot of vertical speed. I'm not sure where they rest currently, as I haven't had a chance to catch any of their games.
They have a D1 offensive lineman.
Oh, well, that's you know how I feel about that. You know how I feel about that.
You love your offensive lineman.
Bring on the big mahonkers. Let's go.
And it's just basically run behind him. But actually, they were a game of the week on a Thursday.
Oh, that's
awesome. He returned a fumble for a touchdown in the game. And you could just see his athleticism.
Absolutely.
So again, we're at 4-2. Win a couple more games, you might get up there a little bit. You may be able to host a game. I don't know, Zach. If it maybe get to 7-3, 8-2, get up there enough to where you could maybe host a game. Yeah. Moving on to the class that we have a lot of representation in would be single A.
Absolutely.
Coming in second, Wheeling Central. They're 5-0. They're scoring points. Defense is holding teams. They just got back from Mount View. They might have just got back last night. I don't know. That's a heck of a trip.
It was a heck of a drive. Yeah. And I heard that, unfortunately, it seemed like a little bit of a shorter game that happened there for a longer drive.
Yeah, for a longer drive, I think Central was up 47-0 in the first quarter.
Goodness
and that's a lot of points to score in a quarter.
That's a lot of points in a quarter.
You're scoring almost every minute.
Absolutely.
And I think they cut the game down to 3-minute quarters after that. So, you drive down there. Maybe you just want to get home a little early. I know it was a heck of a drive down there.
Oh, absolutely.
Go down there, take care of business, get a win, and just continue to roll.
I mean, the thing that really stands out to me about Central, 210 points for, 63 against.
Yeah.
That's huge, too. We talked about it at the top of the standings with the AAA rankings. That's an unbelievable amount. And, Coach Young, they're always going to do exactly what they do. Anybody that's ever seen Wheeling Central plays knows how they're going to come out, how they're going to play. And they're another one of those teams that they do what they do, and they do it very well.
Yeah. Again, another team, not a lot of mistakes. You won't see a lot of penalties. You won't see missed tackles. You won't see missed blocking assignments from them. Just very fundamentally sound football team. And what helps them out, too, in some of those victories, they're scoring a lot of points and not giving a lot of points up. Helps the program in the future. You get those young kids in the game.
Absolutely.
And that helps your program, especially being the size of Wheeling Central. I know they have a JV team this year that some of those single-A schools don't, and then just going out and finding games is tough, too.
Absolutely. I know their JV team, I think they've had a handful of games this year, which is always important when you can get those JV programs, especially in the single-A, get them games and get them rolling, get a couple more reps.
Yeah, just an advantage. Next, looking down in the rankings a little bit, Cameron comes in at 9. I know we talked about Cameron earlier. They're undefeated though, Coach. They're 6-0. That always helps. Undefeated, you're going to go up in the rankings.
Absolutely.
I would say they're going to be hosting a playoff game this year out there at Cameron.
Oh, that would be great. As we said, it would be great for the community. They're Salt of the Earth people out there. It's a great place to go. I'm really impressed with Cameron's schedule. I think they have a little bit of difficulty at time with the playoff points just because of the win-loss record of a few of their games, which I think put them a little bit behind the 8 ball, but they'll keep winning, and that'll help keeping them moving up the rankings as well. And
sometimes you can't help the teams you play. You
can't, absolutely.
You get into these contracts sometimes, they're not 2-year deals. You might get into a 4-year deal with a team to play them, and if they're not very good that year and you're playing them, you're not getting a lot of points for them, but sometimes you can't pick your schedule. You just got to go out and win games. Absolutely. And just do that, and everything else will take care of itself.
And that's what Cameron's doing.
Just get in the. If you're good enough, get in the 16, you're going to win.
Yep.
Fairmont Senior, won as a 16 seed.
Absolutely.
So Fairmont Senior wins a AA state title as a 16 seed. Running through the playoffs, that's all on the road.
Absolutely.
So they've done it. Another school that I consider an area school that I like to follow sometimes, Clay Battelle.
Oh, the Seabees.
The old Seabees coach, and I know you've been down to see the Seabees.
I've got some memories with the Seabees. Yeah. One time we traveled down there in an ice storm, had to drive back out through Cameron, coming from McMecken when I was coaching in my Donahue days. Have a lot of memories down at Seabees, down at the Seabees. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about them, but really excited to see Clay Battelle there at 13 with a 4-1 record. Yeah,
4-1 record, and down in that Morgantown area, they get some of those kids. They're linemen sometimes, or bigger kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming from that area, you're going to draw from a pretty decent population. So they always have some talent down there at Clay Battelle. Yeah, as I look a little further, Valley Wetzel's right there at 18. Not the wishbone days.
Not the wishbone days.
Of Valley that I remember. The 4 straight trips to the state title game. But Valley turned around a little bit. 4-2 record. They're just outside of the playoff window, but just enough to where the kids are going to keep fighting to get into that top 16.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to play an extra game. Yeah,
absolutely. And then. A little bit further out, I have a soft spot in my heart for Weirton Madonna.
Okay.
Coach Kramer was a good, was really, really good coach for years and years and years, and he again was one of those guys that came to the All-Star game with us and helped out. When my father-in-law was first getting started, he really helped out. Anytime there were coaches that needed help, it was a great time. He would always reach out to them and see what he could do to help. What information do you need? And so that's one of those things. That's what I have a soft spot in my heart for Madonna because of Coach Kramer.
Yeah, and they sit at 20. They're 3-2.
Yep.
They
just played a tough game.
Just played a tough game.
Tough loss to Cameron.
Tough loss to Cameron. Quarterback's pretty good.
Yep.
We're at Madonna. get a couple more wins on the board, see where you stand.
Absolutely.
Keep rising up in the rankings.
Yep.
Another team I see here is St. Mary's.
St. Mary's.
Just right south on Route 2. You ever been down to St. Mary's?
Oh, I've been by St. Mary's a couple times. Yeah, I've been by St. Mary's a couple times.
Ever had a chance to see the football stadium?
I have not had a chance to see
the
that
turf's
stadium.
beautiful.
Yep.
And the Blue Devils, and they wear purple.
Interesting. Okay.
Did you know that, Zach?
I did not know that.
Purple and gold. Yeah.
Normally my trips south on Route 2 normally ended right around the Magnolia area.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you go down to St. Mary's. Check out that turf. Beautiful facilities down there. Yeah, and I think that wraps it up. For our ranking segment.
Absolutely.
We'll be doing this throughout the season just to see where your team stands. You can log into ovathletics.com, get on our message boards. Check out if your team's doesn't have a post, start a post for your local team. Get your community members involved.
Absolutely.
Just tell them, hey, come on here. You want some information about our team? Read our message boards. Visit us on Facebook and Twitter. We're out there. We're getting information out there. Check us out. Yeah, welcome back to the ovathletics.com Streamcast. For our last segment of the day, just to wrap it up a little bit, something we didn't mention, one of our promotions that we're doing is a weekly pick'em.
Oh, weekly pick'em.
Yeah, we're going to do a weekly high school pick'em.
High school pick'em,
keep the colleges out of it, keep the NFL out of it, just all local high school football pick'ems.
I mean, if it was college, your record would be affected by Notre Dame, I'm sure.
All wins there, Zach, I think. Yeah, you got a dirty look from Tom. He's off on the side. You got a little bit of a dirty look for Tom. We didn't have a good trip up there for the Marshall game, but hey. I'll save that for another segment, I guess. First of all, Tom and I would like to thank John Marshall. Not necessarily the high school, not that I love John Marshall High School, near and dear to my heart and a graduate, but John Marshall, the user on ovathletics.com.
All right.
He set up the weekly pick'ems.
Oh, fantastic.
And then Tom reached out to him and said, hey, we'd like to take this a little further and start a contest. And he said, I'm on board. And he keeps weekly stats for us. He keeps the yearly stats for us.
Yeah.
So thank you to John Marshall for putting everything together. It's people like you and Zach that just have reached out and want to help us do these things, because Tom and I can't do it on our own. And a congratulations going out to last week's winners. We have Huddle 19, Oracle, and Steph JW. We had a tie. We didn't have a tiebreaker, but we do now. So we had a three-way tie, but we have a tiebreaker now. So just look on ovathletics.com for our weekly pick'ems. John Marshall's running them, and just thank you again for doing that for us.
I mean, if you haven't had a chance to join up, there's no time like the present. Go ahead and jump in there, get into them. I know I'm going to get involved now, so be looking for me to be making comments or posts or some sort of making an idiot out of myself, because, I pick with my heart, not with my brain, and that sometimes fires.
That's not always a winning proposition.
Not always a winning proposition, no.
No.
But hey, you can beat one of the hosts.
Yeah. Next, something that we talked about was the game changer of the week, and it's something new we're going to try to start possibly this week. Either get a poll up and going, or a post up and going, or on our message board. And what we'd like to do is, get your opinions. Tell us about somebody that we maybe didn't see or maybe missed on our game recaps. Somebody that had a great game offensively, defensively, on special teams. Even a group. Coach mentioned like a team's defense. You get a shutout. That's a group effort.
That's huge.
That's definitely a group effort.
Yeah.
So look for that in the coming weeks. The game changer of the week. That's something, go to ovathletics.com, look for the message board, look for the game changer of the week. We'd like to do an article on them too.
That'd be fantastic.
On the site.
Have a chance to reach out to that player. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, get to talk to him, get to know him. Another thing we'd like to do, where do you want us at games? What games do you want us to cover? Let us know. Facebook, Twitter, great ways to reach out to us. ovathletics.com. I'll just start a message. We'll just say, hey, go here. Come see. If you've never seen a game here, come see us. We'd like to do that. We want your opinions. We want to help you out. Right. Help us out a little bit. Tell us where we need to be.
Yeah.
And we'll make our best effort to be there.
And if we're not there, get on the site and tell us why we should be there, because that's what we want. We want the conversation. That conversation is really important. Helps drive us and helps us know what we can do better too.
And how about some unique items at that concession stand? Get me over there for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with a good taco in a bag, though. Yeah. I will go to town on a taco in a bag.
Hey, some of you might call it a walking taco, but It's
Get
a
out of
taco in
here.
a bag
Taco
to me.
in a bag. It's taco in a bag in the valley.
Yeah.
I will find a hill, and that is the hill I will die on. Is taco in a bag. Get that walking taco nonsense out of here.
We're looking for advertisers again. Come join our team. This is an athletic website. This is ovathletics.com. We have a team here, and that's what we want to make it feel. We want to make it feel not just one high school team, but a team for the whole valley. Because what we're going to do with some of this advertising money that's coming in is to promote these young athletes, do scholarships for these young athletes through ovathletics.com. And with your help with the advertisers, if you know of a company, of a business, if you want your business on here, we're going to get views. And that's what's going to happen. Right. We get new users every day. 5 to 10 new users sign up, not just view the boards.
That's fantastic.
I think the game that I was at with River and Barnesville, we have close to 10,000 views just there. So your business is going to get recognized through us, and we'll make sure of it. Whether you want to sponsor our podcast here, our Streamcast, if you enjoyed your hour plus with us, scrolling banners, sponsor our website, go ovathletics.com. We already have a couple up there. Swan Sports Shop. Brad, you might not know yet, but your ads up there, and you're sponsoring us. Delegate Reynolds is up there. High Valley Nutrition is one that's up there, and we're talking to. But we have spots available, but they are going quick. People are reaching out to us. We're contacting a lot of people. Commercials here for our Streamcast. Advertising so important.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And it really, as Jeff said, we're a team for the Ohio Valley. We're here to cover your teams. Come join our team. We would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Great job, Zach. That's going to end our OhioValleyAthletics.com Streamcast for the evening. Tune in, listen to us, live YouTube. Watch all the mistakes that we make.
See, I love Jeff because he's trying so hard to be technology savvy right now. We'll be trying to putting this podcast up on most of the major podcast providers, and we'll probably edit this video together and put it up on our YouTube channel as well. But we'll get rolling and eventually go live from. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, Zach.
Thank you, Jeff,
for being the co-host, for setting all this up for us, for providing your home to us.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate the hospitality here.
Absolutely.
Thank Anna for us too, because it's getting late.
Yep. If it wasn't for her being a very accommodating wife, I would not be recording this right now.
Thanks again, and thank you, Ohio Valley, for tuning in and logging into OhioValleyAthletics.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter.